everyone for coming. We got a full house. All right, invocation. Mr. Ralph, if you wouldn't mind.
Please join me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time to come together and serve our community. Ask you to just be present with us tonight. Guide our hearts and our minds and actions for everything that just brings glory on you and glory on our community. Just ask your blessings upon each of those that are attended here and watching at home, and a special hand of protection over our military and first responders. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, before we approve the agenda, I'm going to pass the gavel to Ralph. And I'm going to make a motion that we move item number 14, Mr. Ralph, up to awards and presentations.
Okay, got a motion to move that into our agenda. Any other changes to the agenda?
We also have under general business, we have an add-on item for the Ducks Unlimited.
Okay. Any other changes? All right. All those in favor of the agenda as amended?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right. Citizens to be heard. Thank you very much. When you come up, please give us your name and your address. You have 3 minutes to speak. If anyone else would like to speak and haven't filled out a speaker card, please do so with Miss Jessica. You can speak on each individual agenda item, and either the first or the second citizens to be heard. Okay, we're going to hear from Noah Pearson.
My name is Noah Pearson. I live at 62 Lovelly Drive.
Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Noah Pearson. I represent 4-H youth. I recently just turned 18 in January, and I just graduated Wakulla High School. And I'm here to thank y'all. For the past 5 years I've lived here. Moved here from South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. And ever since I've moved here, it has been the most experiencing, most grateful experience of my life, I would have to say. And one of the best things I can say I've done here is joining 4-H. 4-H has put a huge, huge impact on my life. First, back in South Carolina, I was a shy kid. I will not lie to you. And joining 4-H, it has opened my shell. And here I am now. If you told me 5 years ago I'd be standing here in front of all y'all speaking like this, I would tell you, you are crazy. But here I am. And I want to give special thanks to all of my family members and friends, and especially my community, for giving me this opportunity to do all this. I represent the Shotgun Club. I've been in that club for about 3 years now, and I've recently had a great opportunity to go to a national competition, which I'll be going to in about 3 weeks to Grants Island, Nebraska. So that'll be a wonderful experience. This is not my first national competition. I've also competed in a food cooking competition, which was a few years ago, I believe 2 years ago. And we went to Dallas, Texas. That was a wonderful experience. Got to see a part of the country I've never seen before. Never thought I would see before. Thought I had my own little corner in Wakulla. I was happy with it. But now I know there's more out there. And I know there's more out there for 4-H. And I just want to come to thank y'all and hope that throughout these years we expand to greater and bigger things, especially for this community. I love this community so much. And it's just put a huge impact on me. And I know it will impact a lot of others. This is not my only thing I've done with 4-H. I've also volunteered at the after-school program in Panacea 2 years ago. That really opened my eyes. I came from a big city in South Carolina. Coming here, I thought it was, quite a little country town. But I noticed it's not the big city. There's a lot of struggle in this community. But that's what 4-H is about, helping those who struggle. and I'm so glad I can be a part of that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Did a
good
great job.
Thank you.
Come back anytime. All right, that ends our citizens to be heard. We're going to deal with tab 14 that we moved up.
All right, I'll make a motion for the proclamation honoring Lindy's Chicken of Crawfordville.
Very good. Would you like to read it?
Well, I need a second, don't I?
Second.
Very good. Very good. Well, do we have any citizens who want to speak on that since we've made it an agenda item? Anyone that did not fill out a card, you can do so. Hearing none, go ahead, sir. There we go. If you will, just fill out a card, Ms. Jessica, when you're done.
It may be dangerous while we're in front of a mic, because like the young man said before, I used to be extremely shy. I couldn't get up in front of people, and I guess if anybody want to know what church can do for you, this is what it can do for you, allow you. But I want to speak on Lindy's Fried Chicken, and Miss Terry was terrified that I was going to get up here. But one thing, we do outreach now here, so a lot of you know, and one thing that I find that brings people together is outreach. The people of Wakulla County have such a big heart for helping. And no matter what portion of the county you go to or who you're dealing with, people have a big heart. And I'm going to start with, I guess Lindy's is easy to speak on because I kind of love fried chicken, So that was a good place to meet. And Claire and Jerome has always been so welcoming. They help out so much. They even let us use their property, to set up some outreaches. So I want to thank them. And Miss Terry, like I said, she was afraid I was going to get up here. Because that's my friends. I used to tell her, she's the only person I know that can insult me, and I still sit there and eat, But I knew it was from love. So I just want to personally, from the Mannings, I want to tell her how much I appreciate what her and her husband had done for the community and all that they had done for our little outreach. So I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any additional comments?
Miss Terry, Mr. Jerome, it's a pleasure doing this. You guys have been in the community forever. Y'all pretty much paid for the Cougars their whole entire existence. I'm surprised Derek Franklin ain't here. But it's a pleasure doing this, and just thank you guys for everything you did for Wakulla County. All right, I'm going to read it. Wakulla County Proclamation honoring Lindy's Chicken of Crawfordville. Whereas Lindy's Chicken of Crawfordville has been a cornerstone of the community for 29 years, embodying the spirit of entrepreneurialism and local job creation, and whereas since opening its doors in 1996, Lindy's Chicken has provided generations of families with quality food, friendly service, and a gathering place that fostered countless memories, and whereas the owners and staff have demonstrated unwavering dedication, overcoming the challenges faced by small businesses and contributing to the economic vitality of Wakulla County through steady employment and community involvement, and whereas the closure of Lindy's Chicken marks the end of an era, leaving a legacy of hard work, resilience, and a positive impact of local entrepreneurship. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners hereby recognizes and celebrates Lindy's Chicken of Crawfordville for nearly 3 decades of service, risk-taking, and job creation. We thank the owners, employees, and loyal customers for making Lindy's a beloved institution. May the legacy of Lindy's Chicken continue to inspire future generations and community builders. Passed and duly adopted in regular session this 2nd day of June, 2025. Thank you. Y'all come on up.
Hang on,
Okay.
we got a motion and a second.
Got a motion, Mr. Secretary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Now, come on.
Once you sign that.
You sure you don't?
I signed it? No, she said I signed it. Okay. I just didn't want to violate the rules.
Y'all come on up. Everybody, or does you?
All of us are seated.
Y'all bring any chicken with you?
I miss my chicken gravy.
All right, Mr. Ralph.
All right, I'm going to pass the gavel back.
There you go. All right. Thank y'all very much. Hurricane season is here. Miss Nagy.
Take care.
Kind of hard to follow up on Wendy's chicken now.
Hey, man. Hey, it is.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having me. Jennifer Nagy, Wakulla County Emergency Management Director. First, I think I have to say that I hope this is the only time this season that I stand up here to talk about the weather or any disaster for that matter. But no, hurricane season officially kicked off June 1st, as it does every season. It runs through November 30th. And I was tasked with kind of giving you what the outlook is this year. So if you haven't already seen it, we are projected to get an above normal season again. It's 60% chance that it's going to be above average. For those that don't know, they're roughly estimating 13 to 19 named storms, 6 to 10 becoming hurricanes, 3 to 5 becoming major. Major is anything above a Category 3. So that's a pretty hefty number. But honestly, what I ask is what I ask every year, and that's that we really don't look at the numbers, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day if it's a busy season or a slow season. What matters if we're the ones that are impacted. And we've seen impacts in really slow seasons, and we've seen impacts in busy seasons. It does, for us on the preparedness side, matter a little bit as to how many times we end up having to activate and pull our teams together, but we're ready to do that, and that's really what I would impress upon you, is that as a team, we are ready. We've practiced a lot. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of practice the last few years with spinning up and getting ready and training our people, which makes us better able to respond when something happens. So the ask is that our citizens do the same thing, right? The bottom line is no matter what the forecast is, our mission doesn't change. It takes one storm, one tornado outbreak that impacts our area to change people's lives. It's really easy to become complacent and overconfident when we kind of escape the direct hits, and we've seen that the last few years. So I think that's the other thing I'd say that we face this year, especially as the commission and the citizens, is that it's really important that we stay vigilant. I'm already hearing it that, oh, they turn, right? Well, I would tell you, even though Taylor County got hit 3 times in 36 months, if you look back prior to that, it had been many, many, many years since they'd been hit at all. So just because those turn doesn't mean the ones in the future will. We can't look at past storms and go, oh, well, they're all going to do that. And we as humans have a tendency to do that. So it's really important that we stay vigilant and we prepare for the worst of the worst. As we continue to grow and we welcome our new businesses and our citizens, I think the most important thing we can do is educate them on the disasters that we faced. And that's those hurricanes, the tropical storms, the tornado outbreaks we saw last year in Leon County. Our biggest risk here is storm surge, hence the reason you have that evacuation risk. So it's important when people plan that they have 2 plans. They have a plan if they're going to stay for a low-wind storm. They have a plan for if they're going to go, because there is that possibility that if it's bad enough, they're going to need to evacuate their homes, especially if they're in our Zone A coastline. And it's important that they know what zone they live in. They can go to the county website to find that information. So those are things that I really want to impress upon people. And really, the other thing is that it's important that everybody participates, right? As I said, it's important that all levels are involved. So the truth is that true community resiliency requires a cultural shift and a realization that preparedness doesn't come from us sitting in this room. Preparedness comes from everybody in the community. It's preparedness, it's mitigation, it's that response and recovery. It all starts in our homes and our local businesses. It takes all levels putting in the work, creating the plans and being prepared and getting connected and staying engaged so that we can adapt and stand strong. I know that there are concerns about changes within FEMA. I'm hearing that question come to my office a lot as well. The reality is I don't have those answers right now. I'm monitoring it every day. There's a lot of information going back and forth. But I can assure you that when disaster strikes your local folks, your first responders, your community partners, we're all going to work around the clock to keep the community safe. And I heard him say it about Wendy's, and it's true in this community. Everybody has always come together, and that's what it really takes to be resilient and recover. And And we're going to continue to do that no matter what comes from FEMA. Questions from me?
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. One more thing to add. We did reschedule our expo where you can come out and learn more. We had to cancel it in May because of the weather. We haven't put out the official stuff yet, but the new expo date will be July 12th, Hudson Park from 9 to noon. And so our community can come out there too and talk to us and all of our partners and learn more about what they can do to be better prepared.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Storm recovery, road safety and debris. Mr. Mike King.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
So they wanted me to come up and talk a little bit about the post-recovery part. You already got it up, thanks, yes. So around the month of May is when Road and Bridge really starts gearing up for storm prep. We check our sign inventory, our cone inventory, exercise generators, check, our protective gear, our heavy equipment. We check work lights, flashers, attachments, making everything function properly so, something don't catch us by surprise. Next one. So, as Jen was saying, we've had some really close calls the last few years. It could have been a lot worse than what it has been. And it's really not, if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. So they're better prepared than we are. And then next one, yes, please. If there was one ask that I could ask the citizens is right after the storm, if you don't have to go out, please don't go out. As first responders and as we go out and do our initial push or, our first assessment, there are so many variables that we have to look for, down power lines, all kinds of, danger. I see more and more people coming out to get that picture to put on social media or post it wherever they want to post it, and we just have so many things to look out for, and that unnecessary traffic, just hinders us. It slows us down, and we try to get these roads open as quick as we can. So, and I feel like I speak for all first responders when I say that. Now, if you got to check on family and friends, by all means, do what you got to do to go check on them. But if you don't have to, just give us a little bit of time before you get out and start taking pictures or whatnot. So I wanted to make a couple of recommendations too. One of them is don't drive on the flooded roads, and it's not just because of the underwater hazards and the saltwater damage, possible saltwater damage if you're on the coast. A lot of people don't think about that when they're running through that water. It's salt water. You grew up here, your vehicle's never going to be the same again after you run through that salt water. But it also causes unintentional damage, and I got this picture, and I think it makes a good point that if somebody was to drive down that road, that water is just inches from going inside that door. And a lot of people don't think about when they make that wake, when they drive through that water, it's pushing water higher and further onto somebody else's property. And I see it countywide. I see it go in sheds, garages, and front doors. So just something to think about. The next one is driving over power lines. We see that constantly. I think a lot of people have a false sense of security because they have rubber tires. If they run over a live line and it gets wrapped up in their vehicle underneath and they get out to check it, game on. I mean, it's not going to want to let go either. I mean, it can kill you. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. Just because you have rubber tires doesn't mean you can go over a line and nothing happen to you. So then we're going to start getting into some storm cleanup after we do our initial push. We basically have three scenarios. The first one is if we have a storm with minimal damage. We'll open the landfill for the public 2 or 3 weekends, just, depending on the amount we start to, however much we receive. The second one, the county might assist if needed be, on the coastal areas and stuff like that to get hit real hard. And the third one is the contracted services, and everybody's having a bad day when we got them coming out. So, and when the contractor services come out, they bring a machine just like you see right there, the equipment like that. They don't cherry pick. They got a machine that comes and they grab as much as they can out of the pile at one time. So my next slide, I just wanted to show that, debris separation is very important. If we want to clean this county as fast as we can and get everything back to normal, if we ask for people to start bringing their debris out to the road, which we will notify, Please separate your tree debris from your C and D, because like I said, when they come through with these trucks, they're grabbing and going. Next slide, Jess. So separate it until we have our vegetative debris, our C and D, which is like furniture, lumber, things of that nature. Your white appliances need to be in a separate stack. Electronics and hazardous waste also. We will pick up hazardous waste if we have to, if there's paint or something like that involved. We do not pick up regular household trash though. You have to take care of that yourself. And I guess if we got the contractor services coming out, just be patient. I mean, it takes a long time. It might be 2 weeks before we start picking up. There's a lot involved, and we, having to get contracts, whatever. It takes time, and especially if we have to if it's bad enough we go on a private property. Just be patient. We'll get there as soon as we can. So that's all I got for you.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Matt. All right.
Good job.
Annual financial report. Mr. James Moore.
I'm not qualified to be Mr. James Moore, but I do work with James Moore. How about that? So I'm following the chicken, and I'm following storm debris. So this is going to be the audit, so this might put you to sleep, all right? Let's stay with it. So my name is Ben Clark. I've met some of you guys before. For those of you who are new and have not met, my name is Ben Clark. I'm one of the audit directors at James Moore. We're a CPA firm here in the state of Florida. So I actually work in our Tallahassee office. We have offices in a few other places in Florida. So good to be with you all here tonight. Our job is to perform the county's annual financial statement audit. And so that's kind of what we do every year. We work with all the constitutionals. We work with Greg at the clerk's office, Brandy at the, working with the BOCC and other things like that. So we kind of put all those numbers together. And then we get to this point tonight where we've done all that kind of work over the past number of months and present you the results of the annual financial statement audit. And so what you have in front of you, there should be a presentation up there you can see if you want to go to the next slide. We're going to look over a few of the different things, and I just pull out some highlights in this kind of presentation just to walk you through what's in this kind of big, thick packet of statements that's in front of you, so just some highlights there. So as far as that goes, the independent auditor's reports is going to be that first slide that's kind of in front of you there. It's going to have 5 different kind of sections on it. So what we do is if you think about a financial statement audit, it really has 5 different reports in it that we're all kind of putting together and kind of walking you through different aspects of it and reporting on different things throughout the financial statement audit. This is as of September 30th, 2024, so the information obviously is a little bit, old at this point as far as that goes, but as far as the 5 different types of audits, you're going to have the very top bullet point, that's the audit report. So what we're doing with that report is we're placing our opinion as the accounting firm, the CPA firm, on the statements and saying whether they're materially correct or not. These statements then will get submitted to the state and other various places, and you're required to obviously have this audit every year. So as part of that, we put our independent auditor's report on there and say that they are materially correct. There's an unmodified opinion, so that's the best opinion that you all can get as far as the annual financial statements go. There's no deviations from accounting standards or anything else like that. The second bullet point down is going to be your single audit report. So one of the things you all have to do, especially in light of if you think of all these grants that the county's kind of had running throughout the year and the year before that, you are required, if you spend more than $750,000 in federal money or state money, to have what we call a single audit. So that's a compliance, like a miniature compliance audit over just your federal or your state grants. We did that work, and within that we actually did have to audit 5 different grant programs. So that's quite a bit actually. It's way more than normal, which should make sense with the kind of increased level of activity that you all have had. We did all that work. We audited those 5 different grants that we were required to audit, and we had no findings to report of that, so that was a clean audit for the miniature kind of single audit compliance audits. That's good news there. The third bullet point down is going to be your internal control and compliance report. And so as far as that goes, that's where we are going to look through a lot of your internal controls throughout the audit as it relates to your financial statements. And if we come across something that's a material weakness or a significant deficiency, with the material weakness kind of being more severe and the significant deficiency being less severe, but still something that we want to report to you all, we kind of put it there. We did have one comment that we called a significant deficiency that was just for some audit adjustments that we had to make during the audit, kind of working with the offices. And so we put that in there. that had to do with a lot of fixed asset adjustments and some other balances that we were trying to help them correct as we were kind of going throughout the audit. But otherwise, those have all been corrected, and they're kind of reflected in your numbers here in the statements. So nothing that I think you should be terribly concerned with, but just something we have to put in the report as far as that goes. The fourth bullet point down, that is what we call the Chapter 10 550 Auditor General Report. So as far as that report goes, this is a report that the Auditor General makes us kind of put in there. It's going to have other recommendations, other matters, kind of an all else. When they can't fit something in another report, they have a bunch of things they want us to report that make us put in this report right there. It's a clean report as well, no comments, no recommendations, nothing like that from us that we have kind of going on in this report, so that's a clean report. And the very last report on that slide is going to be your independent accountant's examination report. So that report is where we're required to look at various compliance with various state statutes. Think of it like the various investment statutes that you all have to comply with as the county. As we look through those things and the 911 statutes and otherwise, nothing else that we have to report to you there with regard to compliance with state statutes that we came across during the audit that we're required to look into. If you go to the next slide. As far as the next slide goes, this is going to summarize those same kind of things that we just talked about. We also have on here the other offices, because if you think about the county, we're not just auditing the Board of County Commissioners. We actually have to do independent audits of each of the offices as well, and then kind of put all the numbers together and all the information together. So as far as those other offices there, you can kind of see where we landed as far as any other comments summarized. We did have like one recommendation for the supervisor's office. I believe that had to do with just the budget, just needing to be the budget adjusted at year end, so nothing like super crazy there. So as far as that goes, we just called it another recommendation, but no other findings or any other matters. So obviously this is a very, as far as I'm concerned, a very good report as far as other findings and other matters throughout the entire audit. So the next slide is where we're going to get into a little bit of numbers. And so obviously as a governmental unit in the state of Florida, one thing I'm sure you all are aware of and you kind of pay attention to is where is my reserves and where are my fund balances. That's obviously something that's really important. I know the audit committee with each of the constitutionals kind of participating in that committee focus on that during their meetings. That's something they always kind of look at. And so as far as those balances go, this is going to show you the general fund of the county. So keep in mind this is all the general funds, not just the Board of County Commissioners. So this is going to be kind of all the general funds put together. And we show you the general fund balances as of each fiscal year, just so you have kind of a picture of where your reserves stand. And they're in different categories. So non-spendable is going to be the most restricted. Obviously, it's already been spent, so you can't re-spend it if it's non-spendable. And think of unassigned as kind of free and clear to use as the county desires, with the middle three buckets having various levels of restrictions on them, restricted being outside restrictions, and then committed and assigned or more internal that you all designate as the board how you're going to spend those or restrict those funds. So you see that the unassigned balance went up to $10.9 million in the general fund this year, so that's an increase from last year. And then to put that in a little more perspective, and also to point out the $15 million in the restricted, that's a lot of like the grant money that's restricted, so that shouldn't be probably a huge surprise that last year we had that much restricted, and then this year we've used a lot of that. But to put the $10.9 million and a little bit clearer kind of understanding is the next slide. We have this kind of put into some percentages. So the GFOA is the Government Finance Officers Association. They have a metric that they say that a municipal entity or a county or anything like that should probably have about 16.7% in reserves. And that figure is if you take the unassigned and assigned fund balances and divide them by your expenditures for that year, it should be about 16.7% as a minimum recommendation. You all are over that minimum recommendation, which is a good thing because obviously, kind of like we just heard, we're in a coastal area where we have storms and things like that. So usually our recommendation to our clients is always to get more than the minimum to prepare yourself if you ever have to use your reserves in the event of a disaster or anything else like that. Last year, percentage was about 36.2%, so a little bit of a decrease, but I know that's kind of fluctuating as some of these projects are kind of happening, so nothing that really concerns me as the auditor or anything else of the sort like that, but you obviously are still above the minimum, so I think that's kind of what we would say is a good thing for this year. The next slide is just a little bit of a picture of your business type funds. These are your, and this is really just the unrestricted net position and the business type funds. So obviously total net position is, I think, positive for all the funds. So these balances are going to kind of fluctuate as funds are moved around and transferred through different entities. You can see that sewer had a little bit of a deficit. I believe that if I looked in the statements, there was a transfer from the sewer, but I'd have to go back and check. So I don't know if that's anything that should concern. I think the sewer had a net income this year, from what I remember seeing in the statements. But otherwise, we didn't have any other findings over or any concerns that the sewer or solid waste were like underfunded or something like that. So nothing that I would say. I usually just tell my clients with business type funds to obviously monitor them and perform rate studies or other things like that as need be. That way if there's any rate structure changes that need to happen, that they're monitoring those, but otherwise nothing that would concern me from an audit perspective there. Last bit of information before I answer any questions is a last slide about just some other general funds. Obviously, the general fund is not the only fund that you have at the county. You have a lot of other funds, right? And so those other funds are for different purposes, and at the end of the fiscal year, those balances were about $15 million as far as the fund balance goes. The majority of those were restricted and committed for various purposes, and we identified no issue with regard to improper use of those restricted resources. Last thing you always tell our clients, especially in Florida, you are a part of FRS. You have a large net pension liability in your statements for like $32 million in this case. That does not mean that you have to pay FRS $32 million tomorrow. That's just a representation, kind of like a fictitious representation of what your kind of share is in the overall program, the overall liability. The main things that obviously you are concerned with at the county is, are you making your required contributions timely? And in all cases, you are, as far as we can tell. So nothing like that. We just kind of give warning. If you see a big FRS liability, it's there. It's just a calculation we have to do, but nothing else matters as far as that's concerned. Other than that, we are glad the audit is done on time. It's due by June 30th, so we got to work with the officers to make sure it's done on time. It's obviously very important to stay in compliance as far as that goes, but otherwise, I can answer any questions, and we really appreciate working with you all.
Questions?
I don't.
All right.
Get back to you.
You can, and yes, you actually can. So Greg has my email. You can always ask us questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Go into consent.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Passes 4. All right.
Get that general business item.
Yes, sir. General business.
This agenda item requests board approval of a no objection letter supporting the use of FY 2025 Land and Water Conservation Fund, federal land acquisition funds by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services for acquisition of property in Wakulla. This is property off of Lighthouse Road, 1,300 acres.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Ms. Clark, would you like to come up and say something? All right. All right, I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4. We have no public hearings, planning and zoning. Already covered my commissioner agenda item. County attorney.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing? County administrator.
Yes, I got a couple things. One is we'll have an audit committee meeting. Is 10 o'clock on Wednesday. For those that, if y'all have additional questions you'd like to ask our auditor or Greg, they'll be there for that as well. So that is a publicly called meeting, so the chairman will be there, but also any of y'all can show up. 10 o'clock on Wednesday the 4th. What you got? Okay, 6:30 this Thursday with a governmental, intergovernmental affairs. That would be Michelle. We're going to have a podcast or Facebook Live, all that newfangled stuff. That'll be this Thursday at 6:30. So we'll be hosting that from the community center, if I'm not mistaken. So Michelle is looking forward to that, and so are we. Also, Monday the 9th, put it on your calendar, there'll be the official, we'll have Commerce here as well as our representatives at the legislature will be here hopefully, and will be official announcement of project safety. I've been talking public safety too much. So project safety, that'll be at WEI at 10 o'clock. Also some of the staff will be going to Pensacola on the 13th to get, hopefully the final award for project safety, from our Triumph Gulf Coast would be $13.5 million. So, that, Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got.
Any citizens to be heard, Ms. Jessica? Okay. Commissioners' discussion? Mr. Thomas?
I do have one. I spoke to Brandon about this, but I wanted to kind of see if there's appetite from the board before we really dig into this thing. This is for each of you. We have a property owner who is proposing to put a livestock auction facility down in Medark, down on Floyd Gray Road. I don't know if y'all have spoken to him. That property was formerly zoned ag, is currently zoned C2, and he would either have to take it back to ag, or we could potentially look at doing a conditional use addition to the C2 zoning. So you'll see in there, I sent this to Brandon. Right now, if the gentleman or anyone that owned that property or any C2 property was looking at doing a fruit and vegetable market, it would be an allowable use. If they were looking at doing a garden and planting services, it would be allowable. Pet shops and supply would be allowable. Food and kindred products, manufacturing, processing, and packaging, that would be a conditional use. So as long as they could meet that condition, that would be allowed. But we have nothing in our zoning that pertains to any kind of livestock facilities. I believe that those ones that are there, that I named those four, are similar in nature, that it would make sense. If you look at under conditional use, he could have a processing and packaging plant there. Mm-hmm. So you could slaughter cows. So it seems to me if you'd be allowed to slaughter cows, we ought to be able to sell them. And I understand that it's just not clear. There's not a clear-cut use in there. So that's what I'm asking for. If maybe we can add that as a conditional use. And if you think about, for example, like Tractor Supply. So Tractor Supply is a commercial zoning, not an ag. I think we can all agree that pretty much everything they do is ag related, but they're selling the product, not raising the product, not raising livestock. So this is kind of the same thing, that even though it is livestock, they're selling the livestock. Or like, let's say if there was a farrier on site there, that would be a livestock service also, but would that necessarily need to fall under ag zoning? I don't think so. I think that property and many other properties would be good. I talked to Brandon, if we do it as a conditional use instead of a principal use, then they would have the ability to show, maybe there might be some exceptions where C2 would not be appropriate for a particular use. So this would give some latitude there that the applicants would have to meet that requirements. So what I'm proposing is to bring this back as an agenda item for approval, just to add that to the C2 zoning, but don't want to do that if we don't have, sufficient support from the board to...
I got no problem with it. What's he doing other than the livestock services?
He's wanting to sell livestock.
All livestock.
Yep. So basically an auction, not like where they're holding them on site, but they would bring them in for auction, and
they come in and go out.
Yep. Cows or whatever.
I think our equestrian folks would probably get into that as well.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, we used to go to stock market all the time and sell cows and hogs and everything else, and our county's gotten away from a lot of that, but I think it would be good, and I think it'd be a good use for it, as long as it can pass that conditional use and be appropriate. And it just puts it in the zoning. He's still going to have to come back and apply. He's still going to have to do a site plan. He's still going to have to meet all those requirements. If this passes, it just says that we will give the planning department the capacity to approve livestock services as an acceptable use under C2.
I don't have a problem.
I don't have a problem with it.
So I'll bring it back as an agenda item, and then we'll still have a chance to beat it up, whatever we need to do at that time.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. I don't have anything. Ms. Valerie?
One thing I forgot to ask, any update on the impact fee study? We were talking about all those studies earlier.
We're actually having a meeting with them this week, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they're gonna give us an update this week, yes.
Okay. That's all I have.
What about the recreation study? When,
That was, we had all,
Last week.
yep.
wasn't it?
We kicked that meeting off last week with the consultants.
Kicked it off, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
We got a plan. We're going to meet every 2 weeks as we go forward.
Okay. All right.
Let's adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn.